Hey everyone, Stacy Savage here, aka the Texas Trash Talker, coming at you from Austin. I'm your zero waste expert and recycling nerd of 20 years. I want you to grab your reusable cups and containers, folks. We are going zero waste. So today you'll learn how conscientious companies are reimagining consumption for people and planet. So I'm going to share more about this growing movement to reduce waste in our daily lives. And it really starts with the types of businesses that we patronize. So let's start with a win-win. This is all about reusable takeout container programs. So if you're an 80s baby like me, you are familiar with the word Tupperware. These are, plastic lidded containers that we would use and reuse all the time in our parents' kitchen. And there's been a lot of improvements along the way in the type of materials that are used for these reusable containers, and phasing out the toxins and things like that probably shouldn't be in our food. But restaurants are now really doing a wonderful job of offering sturdy containers that you can take home and actually bring them back whenever you return on your next visit. So this eliminates a lot of single-use boxes, plasticware, styrofoam, and the restaurants wash it, they'll sanitize it after each use, and then it's really just a convenience to you as a consumer without the waste. Next, something that we can look at is really zero waste restaurants. These types of restaurants take this further by rethinking everything from food sourcing and packaging to composting their food scraps, using these reusable servicewares instead of disposables, and minimizing excess, which are standard practices now. So some even have on-site gardens for the freshest possible veggies and herbs. So it really enhances the flavor of their dishes that they're serving. And dining at these eco eateries reduces your impact in a delicious way. So another type of business that you can think about utilizing, whether it's at home or in your own business for your events, catering generates a lot of waste, y'all. A lot of it is based on head count of who is going to be, how many people are going to be at the event. And a lot of people drop out sometimes and they don't show up. So there's a lot of excess food waste. So zero waste catering companies are innovating with reusable serviceware for stylish, sustainable events. And you can actually work with those caterers to do sort of cross promotion or cross marketing. And you can say, okay, our event's going to be a zero waste event because our caterer is going to do X, Y, and Z with the excess food. So maybe it's, that they didn't produce as much food as you would typically think was going to be needed at this event, or any excess food that wasn't, put out in front of the public. Maybe it's just wrapped and it's legally donated through a food redistribution organization. So you can do cross promotion between your company and their company, and they can kind of toot their own horn, right, as well. So locally, a lot of these caterers use locally sourced foods from like local farmers and ranchers. They'll use recyclable and compostable materials like the servicewares, your forks, and your spoons, or even reusable washable wares, right? That way you're not even creating waste in the first place. So like sterling silverware and ceramic plates and bowls instead of even compostables. So reusable is always better than something that can be recycled or composted. So main thing is that they're just chopping out all of the plastics in their waste stream, and they are really putting out their marketing, that zero waste catering is the way to go. So Another type of business that you and I, as consumers, and even businesses that are looking for vendors and suppliers, right? We can, another type of business that we can patron is the uh, online kind of shopping examples, I guess you could say. This would be like using reusable goods like, steel straws, glass, food storage instead of plastic, non-toxic containers, and cleaners even, that are shipped in even recyclable mailers, recyclable boxes, or even reusable boxes that have the collapsible containers and the collapsible lids as well. So, anything from spices to body lotion to what kind of wares you're putting out into your, maybe it's your employee cafeteria, or maybe it's the cafeteria at your hospital, right? So what are you putting out to the public? And these types of businesses are taking that into account so that you don't have to handle a bunch of waste, right? Because it's their waste. So for households, even there's some essentials like zero waste subscription boxes. That's a real game changer, right? Reusable containers or recyclable packaging. That means these convenient prescription subscriptions reduce or produce almost no waste. And you can discover new eco-friendly personal care products for your home, pantry items every single month with these new subscription boxes. And they're starting to use the collapsible and reusable containers as well. So speaking of home deliveries, really, this is really getting an eco makeover. And like I said, those reusable crates replace cardboard boxes. They produce, the produce comes in compostable bags now, not plastic. Meal kits are using recyclable materials. And the result is really like nearly package free delivery experience for businesses and homes. And a lot of other staples for the household, like zero waste bulk shopping. These are like zero waste stores where you bring in your own containers and you can fill them right there. You don't have to, take home any product packaging. So you don't have to manage that whenever you get home. So just bring your own containers, fill everything up, and you're only buying what you need, and that further reduces waste, especially whenever it comes to food. Think about how much food waste happens because we didn't get to it soon enough in our recipes, right? We didn't get to it because it was pushed to the back of the third shelf in your refrigerator and you forgot your strawberries were there from last week and now they're all moldy. So you got to throw them out. Hopefully you're composting them, but if not, that's a food loss right there. That's money that you paid twice because you bought it at the store and then you have to pay for the trash hauler to come and haul it away for you. So there's a lot of cost savings that happen whenever we don't let food spoil, and whenever we're reducing our packaging and anything that we're taking home from like the store or any vendors, if you're a business, any packaging that you can refuse and put the onus on the vendor, on the supplier, is a really great tactic so that you're not filling up all of your dumpster space with their cardboard. So another business to consider is cleaning services. The cleaning services are really rethinking their practices right now. They are using reusable tools and cloths instead of the disposable kind, and paper towels. They are, they're using gloves that are not single-use gloves anymore. They're using non-toxic cleaners for better homes and planet. And a clean home without waste is just kind of genius, right? So another thing to consider is zero waste planning for events. Now, again, we talked about caterers and using zero waste catering at the beginning of my live here, but something that kind of folds into that is the entire event planning. So the catering piece is just that. It's just a piece of the puzzle. If you are planning an event and it doesn't have any recycling or composting availability to your event goers, your attendees, then it's not going to be a zero waste event. And zero waste events do happen all the time. It's just, you got to plan for them. You got to work with the hauler. You got to work with the venue where you're holding your event as well. So these event planning agencies can work with you to help you minimize your waste. And you can work with them on reusable serveware rentals, e-invites, strategic recycling and composting that will divert a minimum of 90% of waste from the entire event waste output. So remember, zero waste is defined as 90% or better. So keeping 90% of recyclable and food waste materials out of landfill trash. You still have the trash bin available, right? But it's important to have people there, maybe some volunteers for your event, to kind of guide people how to, whatever's in their hands need to go in some bin. And it depends on which bins are present for them to put their materials in correctly. So it's good to have people who are trained employees or trained volunteers to stand there at these bin systems to help guide the event goers on how to sort their materials properly. So smart purchasing, leftover food donations, these types of things can complete the cycle for an entire zero waste event. So there you have it. It's a whirlwind tour of the latest zero waste stores and services, from takeout to bulk shopping to catering and more. Businesses are making significant strides to reduce waste. And as customers, we have the power to vote with our dollars to support these important efforts, support businesses that are touting these zero waste services. And together, we as consumers and these businesses can work together to create a cleaner, greener future. So with that, I do have a freebie for you. It is a downloadable PDF. All I need you to do is raise your hand or drop a yes, please, in the comments. So this downloadable PDF is exactly what I just went over. These are the top ways to support small businesses or even large businesses that produce zero waste goods, services, and events for consumers just like you and me. So if you want the free PDF, then go ahead and let me know and I can email it on over to you. Also, my company offers the Cash for Trash Zero Waste Business Academy. This is an online training program where we take your hand and we walk you step by step through zero waste basic principles and protocols, proven strategies to reduce waste, increase revenue, drive consumer loyalty, to build up the morale through employee empowerment, as well as driving a green marketing edge for your business. So if you're interested in joining our Zero Waste Business Academy, we are enrolling right now. We have a special going on where you can save $1,500 on our new enrollment period special. So if you're interested in the Zero Waste Business Academy, then go ahead and drop a comment into the comment section and just say, Business Academy, or raise your hand for Business Academy. Make sure that you differentiate whether you want the freebie PDF or if you want the information on the Zero Waste Business Academy, or if you want both. You can have both. So what I want to do now is to go ahead and go to some questions and comments from our audience here. We are live streaming on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, as well as TikTok. And what is the other one? I can't remember. Anyway, we're everywhere. So I want to hear your thoughts. What's inspiring you most about the zero waste movement? Maybe chat me some ideas and questions. I really want to keep this conversation going. Definitely appreciate you joining me and getting more educated on these topics and ways that you can support zero waste businesses. So let me check the chats and such. Right. Okay. So Andrew said, I was just fired from Domino's delivery in Atlanta because I was taking food out of the trash and out of the building to compost it off site. Oh man, Andrew, I am so sorry that this happened to you. A lot of businesses are still under the impression that if food is donated to is donated to the public, then if anybody gets sick, they're going to get sued and they'll be held liable. And I'm here to bust that myth that that's just not true. Under the 1996 Good Samaritan Act, passed under the Clinton administration, there's a federal regulation that says if you work with nonprofits that can redistribute food, because the food has been kept to proper time and temperature standards through the state's health department, then you can redistribute that food. Now, if you're taking it just for composting, the company does not have a signed agreement from you that states, this is where I'm taking it. And if you were going to produce some kind of certificate for them, they may have been a little bit more lenient about that. And I understand where your heart is. I definitely commend you for wanting this food to go to compost instead of just to the landfill trash. But it's really important that businesses, are donating food that would normally go to the waste bin, right? They need to work with a local nonprofit that can keep the food safe to proper time and temperature standards, and that they can redistribute it to the community in need in a timely manner. So they've got those networking capabilities. They can get these, the food redistributed quickly so that it can be consumed, before anything spoils. Then also the businesses should also be aware that they can get a tax deduction on any foods that they donate. So if they keep a manifest of, what types of foods were donated, which nonprofit they worked with, as well as the weight of the food, like what was the total volume? Was it 42 pizzas all weighing this amount, and how much would that normally cost on the fair, a fair market value, I guess you could say. Businesses can write that off on their taxes because they did they used a higher and better use of that material rather than just sending it straight to the landfill. Let me see if I've got any other questions here. All right, so if you have any questions, my TikTokers, drop them in the comments, and make sure, Andrew, that the whoever you're working with as far as this composting facility, or maybe it's a local farmer, that they need to be able to take foods that have a capability to process cheese and meat. So most pizzas are going to have the pepperoni and the sausage and lots of mozzarella cheese or whatever. But, backyard composting you can't process that in a backyard composter. The composting just doesn't get hot enough to break down the proteins in the meat and the dairy, right? It can do eggshells and coffee grounds and, orange peels and whatever. But if it's not just, vegetable and fruit scraps and that type of thing, you can do that in your side yard composter. You can bring it to a local farm. But if it is not an industrial facility that can handle meat, bone, and dairy, then I would not compost it unless it was a veggie pizza, right? But it still has the cheese. So, something to consider as well. So, what Domino's is probably saying is we don't want unauthorized food being taken off the property because of legal liabilities and just for tracking issues, right? So I would work with your manager and see, sorry, you don't have that job anymore, but in the future, I would, if you work any other food permitted businesses, I would work with the manager to see what options they're already using and encourage them. You're there in Atlanta. I mean, you've probably got a couple of industrial composters businesses that you can choose from to get competitive bids. And about 30 to 40% of your entire waste stream is going to be food, and it's higher for businesses that have a food permit as well. So something to consider. Have you heard of Megan of Toronto, who started a company to use reusable and washable containers in restaurants? I have. She had 24 restaurants a while ago when I checked in on them. Yes, I've actually heard of this company, and they take the reusable containers and they wash them out and sanitize them for these businesses. So that is a very cool business model, especially now that this zero waste movement is catching on, not just for you and me in our homes, but also for businesses that are seeing this as a cost-cutting opportunity to reduce waste, so that you can increase that revenue and you can divert materials in your local community to higher and better uses. Remember, food donation is always better than composting. We want to feed the hungry people in our community. If the food is past a consumable level for humans, then you can work with local farmers and ranchers to divert your food waste over to feed livestock, or to create compost on site at the farm, where that farmer will use the compost to enhance the soils of his or her own crops. And in turn, we get that food back on our plates. So it's a circular economy there. If you'll think about it, it kind of completes the loop. Let's see if we've got any other questions here. Let me know if you want the free PDF regarding our talking points today. What kind of businesses and goods and services we should be looking out for that offer zero waste solutions. And so that's a free PDF, but also the Zero Waste Business Academy, where we walk you through our entire program for business waste reduction, increased revenue, deeper customer loyalty, employee empowerment, as well as driving a green marketing edge and helping you develop out an entire customized zero waste plan for your facility. So I don't see any other comments, but I will get these freebies out to you guys. I appreciate you joining. I'm going live every day about this time. I'm here in Texas, so it's almost 2:00 my time. So I usually go live, between noon, 1, 2, somewhere in there my time. So hopefully you can catch me at the next one if you missed this one. But if you're watching the recording, go ahead and just drop more comments and questions, because I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I'll also send over the freebie if you want it. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for your time.